Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to this Efma webinar with Capgemini. Thanks to all of you for coming. Hope that you all are really fine. We were waiting for this report and excited to be updated of what is happening, what's the last news, last trends in the InsurTech world. Today we will have a summary of this report with some relevant speakers and panelists. But I'll invite you to download the study to go deep and further and to know more. You will find this study, this report in our Efma website at www.efma.com. So let me introduce the speakers today. Let me begin with the panelists. We are having today Eric Sibony. He's co-founder and chief science officer of Shift Technology, responsible for all the algorithms. And he has worked for a large French insurance career and holds a PhD in machine learning from the University of Paris. Welcome, Eric. We are also having Gregory, name here Greg Taketti, that has been the State Automobile Insurance Company Senior Vice President and Chief Information and Strategy Office since August 2015, co-founder and owner of Assure Start that sells small business insurance online, and well, long CV. And our host, I warmly welcome Elias. Happy to have you here again to talk about this interesting report. Elias Ganem is the global head of Capgemini's Financial Services Market Intelligence Group and is leading a lot of interesting initiatives and always collaborating a nice business collaboration with Efma. And also, today we are having Kiran Bhusam. He is leading the insurance solutions and go-to-market innovation based in Hyderabad, India, at Capgemini. And warm welcome to all of you. And now I would like to give the floor to Elias to present and begin with this study. Welcome.
Thank you, Silvia. Thank you so much. Thank you for Efma for hosting us. And thank you all of you to be with us today. Well, the world has changed significantly and the insurance as well. And really what we are observing is the InsurTech is a very interesting topic and evolving topic. And we're going to look into it as we go forward. Quick background on where we come from. Every year we issue two reports into the insurance world, the insurance report and the InsurTech report. And we did that in May 2019, and the main topic at the time was surmounting emerging risk with technology. And by the way, one of the emerging risk was the health risk, and so sad to have seen that before it hit us, but here we go into it. And then back in September 2019, we talked up in the InsurTech report of the marketplace of the future. This year, a few months back in May 2020, we launched the insurance report, and at the time we talked about the millennial, a mindset transcending age, and today is the critical times require a new mindset. This is the title of the InsurTech report. To put that into perspective, every report we do is based on intense primary surveys. So we interview more than 140 executives. We also engage with more than 8,000 customers around the world. We cover all the world and we cover all the topic into the insurance, P&C, life, health, personal and commercial insurance. If you were to have a quick snapshot on what we said last year, last year we said the coverage gap, consumers are feeling undercovered, they are changing in the customer preferences, and customers are looking to their insurance as a partner, a preventer and a payer. But definitely not only a provider, partner, preventer, and payer. Then into the InsurTech, we talked about the three big blocks of InsurTech. We identified enablers, distributors, and full carrier. Enablers enable insurance to offer a better service. Distributors take the product of the insurance and sell it to their specific customer niche, and full carrier compete head-to-head. Early this year, we said millennial transcending age, almost everyone is digital. And now what we're talking about is big tech-like experience, blurring the lines, and the new mindset. So let's jump into that. But before that, the one very important element for this InsurTech report, we've been privileged to create an executive steering committee composed of 14 experts into the insurance, and we have the privilege to have 2 of them with us today. We invited insurance firms, InsurTech, influencers, VC firms, technology partners, who for the last few months has been challenging us into the insights and make this report much more relevant and much more powerful to all of you. So thank you so much for all of you for joining us in today's presentation. What did we do in this report? Well, we interviewed 85 insurance firms and 85 InsurTech firms. Happened that the number is the same on both sides, but it wasn't the intent. Also, you can see that very lucky we have now a very good representation between Americas, Europe, and APAC on both sides. And we, from an insurance, we cover all the business lines. From the InsurTech, we cover all the categories, enabler, distributor, and full carrier. On top of that, we are bringing some insight from the insurance report. And finally, in the middle of COVID, in April 2020, we contacted 11,000 consumers across 11 countries. And we contacted also 87 executives across 24 countries. And all that is what gets us here today. So let's get into it. Critical times require a new mindset. There is no surprise in that. And the critical times, unfortunately, we've been in it for the last few months, and nothing seems that it will change in the coming ones. So how could we summarize that? In a fast evolving world, the insurance industry overall, with all its components, needs to quickly up their game to achieve the golden mean between time to market, money invested, autonomy kept, and differentiation versus the competition. So what are the 3 key findings of the report? Well, everybody is looking now for what we describe as a big tech-like experience. The pandemic has tested the way we do business, has tested the resilience, and has offered to all the big tech being Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, but also being all the e-players, gave them a great way to showcase their experience. Nearly half of the insurance customers today are demanding a big tech-like experience. The lines are significantly blurring between all the industry players. The industry players are active in getting what they do best, what each segment do best, and clearly the capabilities of yesterday are not enough to be successful in the future of insurance. And what's the way forward in that? Well, it's the famous new mindset. New customer needs, new environment, new players are demanding a new way for insurance industry to remain relevant and to strive into the evolving business environment. Well, what is changing? The risk landscape is changing. We looked at it in the 2019 report, and if you look at the bottom left, the purple one, at the report, we talked about new medical and health concerns at the time. There is a new business dynamics that we took into the InsurTech Report 2019. Customer preferences are changing. Players are coming into the game. New business models are happening. And in the insurance report, what we have discovered is the new customer preferences. Digital, omni-channel, new shopping preferences, comprehensive, and all our customers are extremely socially active. So what has COVID made different? Well, first of all, there has been an evolution of the business dynamic because of the COVID. First, customer expectation has significantly increased. Digital preferences has become the center of it. New players has been able to offer their service, and customer is begging for care and support. So our first question, we went to all our executives and we told them, what did you do for the last few months? What has been the business impact on the business? And clearly, 90% of the insurers around the world has focused on what we could say keeping the lights on, conducting business remotely, protecting their staff, engaging with their customers, and that has been the main focus. And then we asked them, what is the impact of COVID on your engagement with your customers? And interestingly, they said, if we look at the bottom in the legend, we see the insurance firms in the mid of COVID in April, and the insurance firm now. And look, they are keen to engage with the customer acquisition, touch point, but look at the number on retention. It has almost doubled. There is a clear need from the customers to be retained because we are observing a certain desertion, attrition from traditional players to somewhere else. So COVID also creates multiple challenges to the industry players. Let's look at the insurance firms. That has created how to engage with my customer, how to maintain my financial performance, and how to secure the sustainability of my business. When we look at the InsurTech and we ask them what's keep you awake at night is making sure that I can still have cash. Do remember, InsurTech are barely profitable, if not at all, and they still need injection of cash from the ecosystem of VCs. They have operational challenges, which is basically scalability. And finally, how to engage with the client. So customer engagement is what is most important as we go forward. So talking about customer engagement, we went to the customer and we asked them, customers, 8,000 of them, representative about the whole age group, geographies, and so on. What are you expecting? And they told us these 5 specific things. I don't like to wait for accessing a service. I want it quick. I want a hassle-free interaction. We call it frictionless. Unusual things are happening in my life. Be next to me, meet my expectation when interacting, processing, delivering the right outcome. Think about me as a consumer. I need to pay as I use. I am in pain. I am in distress. Be next to me, care for me. And finally, be anytime, anywhere access, make it intuitive, make it human-centric, make it simple to use and adapt to my environment. This is what the customer told us. What does it mean for insurance industry players? Well, response in real time, crisis-proof processes. We are in the mid of a crisis, but we know that this crisis is getting extended and we don't know when it will end and if it's the last one. So crisis-proof your business is a must-do forever. Evolve to become an insurance as a utility. Show me your care, become a caring partner, and offer me an end-to-end digital experience. And the beauty of it, when we interviewed the insurance and the InsurTech, you could see that they are, both of them believe the same. 94% of the insurer believe that digital experience is the must. 90% and 91% of the insurance and InsurTech believe that crisis-proof is essential. What we are noticing is insurance as a utility is taking the back seat versus what is most important to make happen now. So we have seen that customers are saying, I want a big tech-like experience. Big tech is raising the expectation bar in crisis handling and customer trust. Let's see here the same 5 items that we have seen before: responding real time, crisis-proof processes, utility services, caring partner, digital experience. You could see that against each one of this initiative, there is one big tech, Facebook, Alibaba, Google, Apple, Tencent, in East and West, offering already a solution. And the beauty when these guys offer a solution, it's at scale, it's personalized, and it's fully digital. And this is the challenge for all the other players. So we said the customers want a big tech-like experience. Let's ask the customers about what do they think about big tech. Customer becoming addictive to the big tech-like experience. Look at these crazy numbers. We went to all our customers, and we've been tracking that since 2016, about the percentage of customers who are willing to purchase insurance from big tech. 17 in 2016, 30% in 2018, jumped to 36 at the beginning of the year. In April, it was 44. Look at the number between 2016 and April 2020, it has more than doubled. And each one of them in their respective area of operations, big tech are known to be effective in playing the right role when it comes to personalization, delivery, and so on. So customers today are expecting the same kind of experience from every single provider, being insurer, being retailer, being banker, and so on. Now, looking at the entire insurance industry, in the old good days, there was only insurance firms that were bringing the deep insurance expertise and some of the innovation mindset. But the world has evolved, and now we have the InsurTech with the three categories that we talked: enablers, enabling insurance to have a better offer; distributor, taking the last mile and transforming a product of an insurance firm into a more adapted to a specific population; full carrier, competing. And here, this is where the innovation builds and the expertise comes down because they have less background. And now finally, we have the big tech, which has the least expertise in the insurance, but the highest level of innovation. And look at here, every single topic has already players coming into the game. And we could see that these players are playing either globally or in a large market like Tencent, in US, in Europe, etc. And you could have all these details of each one of them, of course, in the report that we invite you to download. And the insurance firms are not left behind in terms of innovation. We are seeing here Mass Mutual in the US or Tokyo Marine in Japan stepping in and enabling also digital experience. But the surprise comes also from non-traditional players, where a Tesla in the US or a Walmart in the US are now stepping their game into insurance services. So innovation is happening across the entire insurance industry, as we could see it. But there is a lot that could be learned, adopted, copied, improved, and to offer what the customer is demanding is a hyper-personalized experience. Talking about what the traditional players are doing, they are not staying, waiting, and observing. We could see that insurers are really fast-tracking their innovation and digitalization offered, dedicating in-house teams, partnering with ecosystem players, creating funds, forming separate companies. And you could see, observe here, Allstate, AXA, Aetna, Zurich, PNB, Allianz, Camet. So there are several initiatives happening, and you could see the details of each one of them in the report one more time. But what has happened for the last few months into the InsurTech side? Well, look at the numbers and look at here at the colors. The dark blue is seed funding, early stage, and the light blue is other stages, so maturing. And very interesting to observe how the numbers are building up. And in 2019, most of the investment went to other stages. And that's a sign of maturity. There is clearly today the InsurTech ecosystem is becoming a true reality, is evolving, is maturing, which create either a great opportunity to collaborate or big threat to compete. What did we see since the beginning of the year? A dip in early stage funding, as we can observing. InsurTech, who has got big funding, have scaled up, as we could see, and there is unicorns showing up. COVID has created an impact on valuation, which is a great opportunity for purchases and investment for the traditional players. And as we could see, there are more and more collaboration between InsurTech and the traditional players. Now, let's do a deep dive into the InsurTech landscape. Here, back the three categories: enablers, firms who provide software solution to the traditional players; distributors, firms who only distribute insurance product, but in a better way, in a different way, in a more adapted way to their specific market; full carrier, firms who develop and distribute insurance product. It's another way to say compete with. And we have done across 4 markets, being US, UK, Germany, and France, a deep dive, a local deep dive into the InsurTech landscape. And we're going to share with you now is a comparison between Europe and US in terms of the three population. So first of all, green is for the Europe landscape, again, France, UK, Germany, and blue is for the US landscape. First of all, the first thing we can observe is there is yet out of all the InsurTech, 50 or 55% of them are enablers, still here to help the traditional ecosystem. 47% in Europe are also distributors, so quite aligned and complementary of the traditional players, but in US only 25%. And now let's look at the right side, where full carrier in Europe, little competition is yet seen from the new players, but in the US, which we could observe as a more matured market when it comes to VC with a larger ticket and a more engaged population, already 20% of the InsurTech are full carrier. So, however, the industry are not effective across all the focus area. Here we asked the insurers on the left and the InsurTech on the right about their view on themselves when it comes to where are you when it comes to responding real time, crisis proof, etc., etc. And what can we see here? First, we can see that when it comes to crisis proof, they are there. When it comes to digital experience, they are not there. When it comes to insurance as utility, they are not there either. So there is a lot of opportunity for the traditional insurer to improve in digital experience, insurance as a utility, and also responding real time. Then we went to both of them, to the insurance firms and the InsurTech, and we asked them about the big tech ecosystem. 88% of the insurance firms believe that big tech are very effective in providing digital experience, and 87% of the InsurTech. And 63% of the insurance firm believe that non-traditional players are very effective in offering real-time response. These two, digital experience and real-time response, is where, if you look, compare right and left, these are the challenges that the traditional players are facing today. So despite having each one of us having his own strengths, none of the industry players have sufficient capabilities to service it completely end-to-end. So collaboration is a true reality. And the lines are blurring between all the players. What can we see here? Technology players are collaborating with InsurTech, if you look at in the blue. And then if we go clockwise, big tech are coming into the game. Non-traditional players are entering the insurance space. InsurTech full carrier are becoming more present. Distributor InsurTech are also looking at full carrier, more profitable potentially. And insurance firms are creating digital arm. And here you're going to see brands that you know that are either partnering or stepping across the line. And the lines are blurring among all the industry players. And as such, competition is building up. And it's more than time for the traditional players to beef up their game. So beef up the game talks about collaboration. Let's look here on the left what the incumbent are saying with whom they want to partners, and on the right with who the InsurTech wants to play. And we did a color coding to help you understand it. So incumbent, 67% of them wants to collaborate with InsurTech. When we look on the InsurTech, 83% of the InsurTech wants to collaborate with insurance firm, but 70% want to collaborate with other InsurTech firms. When it comes to tech providers, clearly everybody wants to collaborate with tech providers because they accelerate the go-to-market. System integrators, incumbent and InsurTech knows that they need a third party, a trusted third party, to act as an orchestrator of the new ecosystem. Big tech firm, very interesting, 62 on the incumbent, 63 on the InsurTech. And finally, with non-traditional players. So we can do it together. Now, the question is, what shall I keep in-house? What shall I acquire? What shall I develop? And what shall I collaborate? So to try to get this question, we took back the key focus area that you could see on the left. We matched next to it the key capabilities that are required to cover this focus area. And we identified what's an inventive insurer should be able to do. Customer centricity is about having a human-centered design and real-time data management. Product agility is have the right ecosystem connection and be able to conduct business remotely, etc. So let's look at now this inventive insurer's competency, how they match with what we are saying. And when we went around and we asked the insurer about what's the percentage of the insurers who have implemented the capability, conducting business remotely, everybody, great. Real-time data management, cybersecurity, and innovation hub, 1 out of 2. And then all the others, the percentage of insurers who have implemented the capability is quite low. Cloud native enterprise is the only one building up. Open API remain quite low. And for me, open API and cloud native is what create an open ecosystem, which is a must do going forward. So tech providers, InsurTech, system integrators, this is the opportunity for these guys to support the traditional industry player in turning green, dark green, all these capabilities. So to make it happen, turning to the insurance side, there are 3 ways you can do it: build it, buy it, collaborate. But each one of them has a responsibility in terms of developing, maintaining, operating. When I build, I develop, I maintain, I operate. When I collaborate, I only need to operate. Then we looked at to help thinking through. We said, what are the factors that need to be thought of, and what is our point of view based on all our steering committee? We looked at time to build, very lengthy, time to buy, quite expensive, quite lengthy as well, and to collaborate is immediate. We looked at investment, autonomy, differentiation, and it's the balance between all of them that will get you the trade-off to make it happen, and the trade-off between quick to market, investment required, autonomy obtained, and differentiation. There are pros and cons for each one of them, and you will get them in very much detail into the report. And then based on all that, where are we heading? Well, look at the bottom left. This is the current state. Insurer with industry and regulatory know-how, but lacking key capabilities. What is the end game? Top right, become an inventive insurer. And here we identified the 4 moments that will help you to get there, the 4 stages to get you there. Open ecosystem, product agility, intelligent process, customer centricity. Then we looked at the 3 moments. Do it immediately, do it soon, and what's the end goal. And then we looked at the build, buy, and collaborate. And we spread that. So as of now, every single insurer should be working on what we see in the now. Build a human-centered design functionality, have data insight, have cybersecurity, and so on. And after that, what's next, and so on. The end goal is hyper-personalization, smart and AI-driven processes, and co-innovation. So what should we do today to be the winner of the future? In responding real time, enhancing the service rate of existing channels, humanizing the channels, automating the critical process. In crisis-proof processes, establish alternate channels to engage. In insurance as utility, go usage-based, go deliver on demand, caring insurance, real-time support, and encouraging the good behavior, discount on premium. And finally, be fully digital, empowering the agent and make it anytime, anywhere seamless. How to make that? How to get us to new needs, new player, new environment, leveraging all the players, big tech, insurtech, insurance firm? Well, it's a new mindset. This new mindset will help you cover the stream that we have seen. This new mindset is an evolution from a product approach to an experience approach, from an asset-driven relationship to a data-driven relationship, from an ownership to a shared access, and finally from a build and buy to a global partnership. And that's the way that will get us into a more engaging service towards our customer. So to conclude today's presentation, we started saying at the beginning, customers are looking for a big tech-like experience. We have shown that. Why? Because of the service they offer and because the customer are eager to work with big tech. Blurring lines between industry players, we are seeing how every player is stepping on the turf of the others or could enable the other to grow. And finally, the new mindset is the one that consider an experience based on data in a shared access and through partnership. With that said, we finish the first part of today's webcast, and we conclude by saying critical times are requiring new mindset. And with no further ado, I'm going to invite Greg and Eric to join me on the stage and to get more into conversation and to have the an introduction. Greg, may I ask you maybe quickly to introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. My name is Greg Tacchetti. I am the Chief Information and Strategy Officer for State Auto Mutual Insurance Company.
Thank you so much, Greg, for joining us from the US. And Eric?
I'm Eric Siboni. I'm one of the co-founders and the Chief Scientific Officer of Shift Technology.
And Eric is joining us from France today. And by the way, Greg and Eric have one very important point in common for us. They are two of our 14 members of the InsurTech Steering Committee, and we really appreciate how much you pushed us while we were doing it. Greg, based on what we have observed here, I'm going to ask you a few questions. And by the way, everybody listening, if you have any question, please write it, and we will have also an opportunity to get your questions if you have to Greg or to Eric. So let's jump first, Greg, with a question to you. We all talk about digital transformation. We've been observing that for quite some time. Very down-to-earth question. Where do I start? Okay. What are the foundations of a digital transformation?
That's a great question, Ilyas. I love slide 29 on the deck that you just went through because it kind of paints the 50,000-foot picture of where you're trying to get to, but it always leaves you as a company person trying to figure out where do I start. It's easy to think about the customer experiences that you so eloquently talked about that are vital for us to deliver as companies going forward. For me, the answer to your question, for most mainline companies that have a lot of legacy stuff, is all around data and modularization of your current architecture. If you get your data staged correctly, if you get your a roadmap for modularizing and modernizing your architecture and go hard into serverless microservices, I think those are the key building blocks to get to those experiences that ultimately you want. And my only last piece of advice is borrowed from Eric Rice in the startup way: think big, start small, and move fast. Technology is always changing, and these multi 4 or 5 year core modernizations are going to always leave you unfulfilled and never meeting your customer needs.
Well, we have a journey, at least we have a recipe. I'm going to come back to you after to understand where are the troubles. But before that, Eric, if I look at the same situation from the other side, from the side of the InsurTech, and in your background, you worked on both sides. You started traditional insurer, and now you are more into the InsurTech with the right data science behind it. How to start it, this digital transformation?
To build on what Greg said, I would also stress the point on stating the problem, because there's a lot of technology out there, but sometimes we don't exactly know what's the use, what can we do with it, and usually until you have a clear problem with clear KPIs, clear success criteria, until you get there, applying technology won't go further. And what we've seen is that, so we work with a lot of insurers that have different approaches, but we've seen some of them who've managed to gather some key teams, because teams have to be cross-functional, because the challenges are across requires many visions. So we work mostly in claims, but even in claims, you have people from claims, from IT, from digital, and all these people working together. A good starting point usually is to really start from what exists today, what can be done to improve, and not thinking what will be in the future in 5 years, but really like starting from today, really drawing exactly everything that happens, then enables to give some concrete problems to start solving. And it's kind of something that the more you do it, the more you innovate, and the easier it becomes.
I like that. So find the pain, and based on the pain, build toward the solution rather than having technology for the sake of having technology.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Fantastic. Greg, in your experience of innovation, we saw into the slides the concept of buy, build, and collaborate. What could you tell us in terms of what makes you buy, what makes you build, what makes you collaborate?
That's a great question. When we have a hybrid approach, the way I look at that question is, where do you want to invest your limited resources? We all are capital constrained and time constrained, and those are probably the two most precious resources we have. So how do you work backwards from the customer experience that you're trying to get to and figure out what's the best way to accomplish that? So sometimes that is if someone has, my personal philosophy, if somebody has a great product that I can buy and get to market more quickly and don't need to modify it, then that's going to be my bias. So in our world, we use SaaS applications for our back office finance and HRIS work. So we did not, even think about trying to do those as a custom build. The reality in US P&C insurance, there really isn't a great buy option for the holistic customer experience. So we hybrided that using some core policy administration billing software, but kept that kernel as small as we could so that we could build microservices around that to create the end experience that our customers and our agents needed from us.
Interesting. And it's not a one size fits all, far from that. It's more driven again by the business need and the urgency probably. And
it's always changing. And that's when I say modularized, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, someone will have a core software SaaS application that lets me pull out of the billing and policy administration that I'm dealing with today. So the whole point to me of the whole modularization is the flexibility to change with technology, and that's where that speed element comes in. Because if you're in the middle of something, you can never take advantage of new technologies when you're too far down a multi-year path.
Makes sense. I'll come back to you after on the technology side. I want to turn it to Eric, and same kind of a question, but seen from the InsurTech side. In the report, and while you were helping us, we talked a lot about the enablers, the distributors, and the full carrier. Again, enablers enable insurance to play, to offer their digital service, distributor distribute the insurance services, and full carrier compete. Where do you see the evolution in Europe between enabler, distributors, and full carrier, and where Shift Technology plays?
So we play in the enabler category. We provide software services to insurers, and we have no intent whatsoever to change category, but we provide that to insurers as well as InsurTech, and in particular full carriers. And so it's interesting to compare when we provide our services for fraud detection or claims automation to, like you've called, traditional insurers that have existed for tens of years, or very new InsurTech players in the US or in Europe, which have existed for only a few years. And actually, I think what's interesting is coming back to this dilemma about build versus buy. I think what is difficult about this dilemma as well is that there's no one answer. Like we've said, it changes through time. It's dependent on the organization, and in many cases, it requires several people to agree together. And we've seen that what can induce some slowness is in big companies where you have a lot of people, but mostly when you don't have a clear process that defines should we make versus buy, then you can wait for months and months. Whereas InsurTech full carriers on their side, they are much smaller and they are used to go much faster. So usually they will take this kind of decision faster as well. And it's it's interesting how in a way there's new players can manage to take profit from the enablers like us, sometimes faster than the traditional players.
Indeed. It's agility versus knowledge, and sometimes knowledge could be the most inhibitor to go fast, and the structure behind it. Thank you so much, Eric. Sylvia, I understand that you have a question.
Well, actually, we are having a lot of questions. We have
Please
a
shoot.
very active audience today, and very, very interesting questions. Some are similar, so I pick up one. That could be, what assessment tools or processes do you use to review InsurTech FinTech opportunities? There seems to be a lot of fully funded offerings out there for most processes where there can only be a small number of successful enterprises.
That seems a question for Greg.
Yes,
so we have
so.
a fund, a $25 million investment fund as part of our investment portfolio called State Auto Labs. I get this question a lot. You know, I think we've been very innovative as a company, and we have one person who is the coordinator for all this. So this person, we've now worked with close to 500 insurtechs over the last 3 years, and have done over 100 POCs and have 25 in our environment. And this gets back to this question of modularization and microservices. If you can, at very low cost, test out somebody's product and value proposition, you will learn very quickly whether that meets your needs or not. And so we've been, I think, very successful and developed a reputation very quickly as being open to using insurtechs to solve very specific business problems. And I love that, having been a founder of an insurtech myself. One of the biggest pieces of advice for any insurtechs I have on the line today, I would say, don't shirk on your security side. That's probably the biggest inhibitor that I run into for getting people past the initial screen and into a POC. A lot of great ideas, great energy, but really not a grounding in security. And as we all know, data and data security, and particularly around personal information, is vital in 2020. And that's been probably the biggest gap keeping people out of our environment today.
Great one, great one. Sylvia, any other question?
Yes, as I mentioned a lot. Let's go to another. Open insurance, is it a reality or still so far from us?
Greg, you want to take a first shot, and then we'll go to Eric. Eric, you have a few minutes to think about it.
Was the question was around open insurance? I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you help me understand what they're trying to get to?
I suppose that someone is asking about open insurance. It means APIs, open offers, all this. Is this a reality or still a dream?
We're comparing open banking, right? Which we don't have an open insurance rule, but there's an open banking regulation that forced bank to open. Where are we on the insurance side?
With respect to APIs, I think you see more and more carriers going into it. I was out in Seattle visiting with Amazon last summer, and the light bulb personally came on for me. And we had a lot of integrations that we had built, you know, with our new applications, hundreds of them, with a lot of third-party data sources and other insurtechs. We're in the process of rebuilding a lot of those right now and moving those to serverless APIs. We just integrated with Bold Penguin as a US commercial insurance platform in the last 2 months. And this will not only save us a lot of money on our Amazon cloud bill, we think it may cut our cloud bill in half by reducing our need for compute horsepower. It also really incrementally increases your security and your flexibility, you know, going back to that same theme. So we are all in on open APIs. The only other element that I would add there, that you are starting to see some use cases and some traction in the States with some blockchain applications. 2 big US-based insurers, State Farm, who's the largest insurer in the US, P&C, and USAA, who is another very large P&C carrier focused on our military clientele, have partnered up on a blockchain application to make the subrogation process, I won't go into all that, but make that immutable and clear and take, in my opinion, there's probably $2 billion of waste in the insurance industry just passing checks back and forth in that subro process. So It's not probably directly around your question around open APIs, but it's that same philosophical approach around more connectedness and more transparency.
Fantastic, fantastic. Eric, some thoughts on open insurance?
Maybe not. I mean, related, not fully in the topic, but in a kind of a dream vision, future vision, I think of something fully open would go with also a fully structured and standardized, not standardized, but formalized way of having products. Because insurance products in healthcare, they are quite standardized because they are based on CPT codes, or I mean, depends on the country. But P&C insurance, the insurance products, the coverage conditions, for example, are always written in language, human language. And if you want to provide an API, for example, that would say, this is my product, it's very hard to explain what your product is because it's described in a PDF file with a lot of language that is not always easy to understand. And what we think is that the more insurers go through touchless processes, digitalization, the more there will be this movement as well of structuring the products, because you need, of course, to make the insurance product understandable by the machine to have a touchless process. And so in a way, it's not for the near future, but in the long term, it is. To me, it will be a reality, or it is a probable reality that we get to some point where there can be some exchanges around what insurance products are.
Fantastic. And we have 1 more minute to go, and I would like to have Greg first and Eric after. Your thoughts about joining this InsurTech steering committee. What did you think about the process, and what has been the outcome versus that you have observed into the report today? Greg first, maybe?
You bet. It was a fabulous experience. This, I think I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so getting to talk about this in an industry that I've spent 30 years in was a really terrific experience. You know, whenever you have an opportunity to be around really smart people and let your creative juices go, to me, it's always fun.
You got invited again. Eric, what have been your thought? The bar is high, but please be honest.
Yeah, but I can also say we really had a great group with many backgrounds, many geographies. On top of that, we didn't have a lot of homework. It was quite cool. We had some meetings to attend where we only have to give our opinion, and I think we were all impressed by the results. I think the report you've created is really touches like a very concrete challenge of today, more than many other white papers that we can think about. So yeah, I was really happy to be part of that.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much, Greg, for joining us for the last 4 months and for joining us today. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And now, with no further ado, let's jump more from the business side of it. And Kiran Busam, who runs the go-to-market and solution lead for us. Kiran, would you walk us through some of the offering that we have at Capgemini?
Yes, Elias. Thank you. Thank you for. Am I audible? Just wanted to check once. Good. Okay. Today we will focus on 2 areas. If all of you recollect the page where we did the status check on current, traditional insurer capabilities, there were several areas which came up as red. So let's start with, real-time response, right, and crisis processes. Today, if you think from any insurance request from a customer or a fulfillment need, it takes days or sometimes weeks. But whereas they get the similar experience on the InsurTechs or on the BigTech side, it's more of hours or within a day, right? So what is the source of friction? If you see, traditionally incumbents are run these processes using a workflow that cuts across disparate departments and divisions, and these all act like silos. Another source of friction is the documents, the phone calls involved, different referrals and routing and all of that complexity, right? So how do you address this? And this is where we think the touchless processing as a aspiration, and then as a solution from our side comes into picture. So you automate the process and orchestrate the the workflow across the divisions and the departments, right? And then you use past data to drive predictive insights and steer the process in the most optimal path. And then to eliminate some of the other friction points, like images and digitizing the images, digitizing documents, digitizing notes, right? All of that, you would use artificial intelligence, right? By bringing all of this, you would be able to drive touchless processing. Moving on to the next slide, looking at just from the processing perspective and inside out would leave a lot of the capability on the table, right? So we think that it is equally important to look from the customer perspective and also think about what kind of behavior alterations we need to influence, what kind of nudges we need to apply for a best in case omni-channel journey, right? So I think our value comes in by providing such kind of all-encompassing solution which looks at it from inside out as well as outside in, and drive the maximum value here, right? For example, building the best digital channels and chatbots is one side of the equation, but if there is no traffic towards them and customers are not really adapting to that, then the value realized from that initiative is not gained. Moving on to the next slide. So what are these touchless operations from our side mean, right? I mean, we all agree that it is a high time that we need to digitize the process across the value chains and across the touch points, and we have seen that there is a significant gap. So there is a lot of catch up and acceleration needed. So what Capgemini brings is that it brings our own innovative IP, and we embedded multiple insurtechs to digitize these processes, and we also bring reference process capabilities, right, and best in class customer journeys as well. So utilizing all of this, you can adopt to the touchless operations in a much more accelerated manner. And more importantly, we take over the operational risk that is involved in the remaining human touch points, utilizing our business services teams, and we commit to higher pace of processing, and we also commit to higher accuracy of processing, leveraging all the technology that we discussed. Moving on to the next slide, Elias. I would like to quickly summarize saying that we have 3 solutions in this area, in terms of applications, new submission processing, our touchless endorsements, and last but not the least, very important process claims, right? Touchless claims. Now let's pivot to the next part of the capability that insurers or incumbents showed that they need to adopt, right? So moving on to the next slide, we focus on how do we respond to the new products and the new experiences, digital experiences that customers are looking for. And we think that fast and continuous innovation is what is going to define the leaders in the market tomorrow, and we call them as inventive insurers, as we discussed on that slide earlier. And so here the need is, so what is the impediment here? The impediment here is one side of it is culture and the practices organizationally followed. And then equally critical, the ability to co-innovate with the ecosystem, like insurtechs, data providers, AI capability providers. There are various such partners available. And this is where, moving on to the next slide, we are bringing in something called Innovation Island. So this allows insurtechs to apply, test and learn practices with greater agility. And it is a AWS based cloud platform, and on this platform we understand that when there is an ecosystem play involved, there's a lot of sensitivity towards IP and sensitivity towards security, data sharing, and all of that. So this platform has been built thinking through all of such cyber security controls and the resilience that is needed, and ensuring that each partner on this platform can protect their IP and their data. So and then this platform comes with pre-integrated insurtechs to drive that collaboration more effectively. So even that onboarding time is something that you can avoid by adopting a model like this. So where do we apply this this innovation island? Moving on to the next slide, you can see that the innovation island can be applied at every stage of your innovation life cycle. Let's say you are just exploring for new capabilities, And so it provides a very safe sandbox where insurtechs are available, and you would be able to explore the capabilities, and you would be able to evaluate how they fit. Now, as a next step, you would like to contextualize those capabilities to your organization, to your product, to your data, to your process. So that is when you can simulate and integrate in a safe manner with protected, anonymized data, and bringing in a subset of data and being able to simulate how it would fit into your process. Now, if you like it, right, if you like that capability, it integrates well. Now you want to scale it. Now you can scale it up and maybe run a beta business, right? A beta new experience or a beta version of new product on this island itself, and scale it up, right? Most recent examples that you would have observed in terms of product launches, have been done with minimal or no interaction with the legacy side of the insurers, right? How are they able to do it is by building such islands with innovation, innovative tech, and being able to quickly configure these digital experiences and products. So instead of taking several months and years to launch such experiences and products, now insurers are able to launch it in a few weeks. Our idea is to push the speed much further, right? By thinking about it as like a platform for collaboration, and enabling the carriers to innovate at much greater speeds. With that, in the interest of time, I will hand it back to Sylvia.
Thank you. I invite all the speakers to open camera, and let's have some extra minutes because we are running out of time, but very interesting questions has come from the audience. So first, for Eric, is access to clean data still a problem with traditional companies?
No. I think so. Building on what Greg said earlier, what is sure is that we always need some very strict security conditions on our side, because we process really a lot of clean, personal, and sensitive data. This is a huge investment that we do. But once this is done, actually, I think the more insurers get mature there, and we've seen an evolution over the last 5 years, the more they are used to do some projects using their data and externalizing their data, then the easier it becomes, because it is allowed as long as you have the security requirements.
Thank you. Kiran, when you reviewed the report as the insurance solutions leader, what was the most surprising findings for you?
I'll have to refer to that slide where we asked insurtechs as well as insurers on what do they think are the key focus areas across those 5 critical expectations from the customers, right? Real-time response, crisis-proof process. Going into the survey, right, when we were rolling out the survey, I was thinking that probably responding real-time would top it, as well as crisis-proofing process. But I think the responses are not exactly meeting that point. My thought process was that based on the crisis that we are going through right now, there would be an immediate reaction, and thinking from a customer perspective, that being the most important need for the customer, I thought insurers would want to focus there. I would say that was my most surprising finding.
Thank you. Elias, any key findings in Canadian market about insurtechs that you want to comment with us, please?
Yes, we have specific decks for each key market, so we can cut the information for the specific one. So feel free to reach out to us directly through your account exec in Canada, and we're more than happy to share the specific one, rather than now going market by market. But yes, we do have some specificity. Nothing surprising. Clearly, adoption of big tech is big in Canada, as it is in the US, as it is in all maturing markets. One. Second, what we're observing is care. Customers are looking for a better support from their providers. And finally, when we come, we look at the InsurTech and the insurance in Canada, there is a big willingness to collaborate. So same as all over the market with some nuances here and there, then we'll be more than happy to share them on a one-on-one conversation.
Thank you, Elias. I think this is a good suggestion because we are still having a lot of questions that probably will not be answered because of the lack of time. So you can address to Elias, and he will be happy to answer the questions that we run off the time. But let's have two more. One about regulation. Do you consider that regulation is a problem for the InsurTech industry?
I'll take a fourth shot maybe, and then I think Eric will have an interesting point of view. Well, I think it's essential to have regulations by all means, and not into the insurance industry, but in the banking industry, in the payment industry. A few months back, we have a big debacle in Germany with Wirecard, and that may be one of lack of enough protection. So I believe that it's important to have regulations. And it's important to have the regulations evolving with its time. And what we have observed for the last few months with the COVID is digital contracting was a no-no on the public sector, and it has become the only way. So I am observing the regulator becoming much more proactive into getting themselves into what is happening. Another one that's very interesting to observe, not in the insurance, but regulation at overall, a blockchain, cryptocurrencies. At the beginning of the year, there was no central bank interested by cryptocurrency. If you go on any website of a central bank, cryptocurrency is one of the discussions that are happening. So I believe that it must have regulations. It has to be evolutive. Eric, any thoughts?
Sorry, I was on mute. I will speak mostly about the data regulation. This is mostly what we face. Usually, this is particularly the case with the European GDPR. It really relies on the fact that you need to know what you want to do with the data before doing anything with it, which could look like a constraint. But to us, it really comes back to what I was saying, that you won't find something out of nowhere just by applying some random algorithms on data, so that's why we always say you need to find a good problem first, and then regulation allows you, once you have a clear purpose. Sometimes you need a specific allowance, but you are allowed then to do it. So the regulation puts some constraints, but not that much that impede to innovate.
So the very last question, let me check. Insurance also includes life and retirement areas. Do you have any trends you're seeing in those areas at the market level?
I couldn't understand, Julia. What insurance has? Say again, if you don't mind.
Yes. Let me check. Insurance also includes life and retirement areas.
Correct.
Do you have any trends you're seeing in those areas at the market level?
Thank you so much for this question. If I may just give a quick answer. Well, the trends, so our study covers all the sectors, including the one that you mentioned. And in the next 2 months, we are publishing the trends in the insurance domain in relation to health, in relation to life insurance, and in relation to P&C. So I will invite the person who asked this question to check back on the website, and I'm going to put here the World InsurTech Report website, where we will have the link on all the others, to check it often, because the trends will be published and you will be able to have the specific trends on each one of the insurance domain.
Okay, so let me thank you, first of all our speakers for being here, Elias and his team for this exceptional, amazing, exciting InsurTech World Report. Also thanking the audience. And let me remind you that you can find, if some of your colleagues missed this webinar, you will find the presentation and the recording in our website at efma.com. An announcement, we are having another online event from Efma that we call Insurance Council. It's an online event, some kind of between webinar and workshop, where everyone, all insurance and insurtechs are invited. We luckily are having Elias also talking more focused in digital, that with the main topic that we are having next October 14th at 2 o'clock Central Europe time. We also are having some case studies from Aegeas, Portugal, or Quicksigurta in Turkey. So thank you again to all of you. It was a pleasure and honor to have you here, and see you soon. Bye-bye.